Great.
Oh, sorry.
Hello, this is my module 13 for EDL for 850. Sorry, Tort Law. Tort law concerns civil wrongs and addresses the duty, breach, and injury sustained to one individual as a result of another's conduct. So it's a little bit different from criminal law. Those are the two different types. So here's some example. A science teacher allows a student to operate a lab equipment unsupervised while they attempt to gain a quiet moment to finish a lesson plan. Happens to all of us. The student's lack of supervision and instruction results in injury to other students watching. The teacher can be held individually liable for the student's injuries and risk a court award of monetary damages. My first case here is Frame versus Camille. That's French. I think I'm saying that correctly. In the case, there was a substitute teacher who had to forcibly remove a student. During the removal, the student kind of stumbled back, hit a podium, hit the blackboard, and the substitute teacher was sued. The teacher was found to have committed battery, but it was confirmed by the court that they were justified in doing so. So if I'm an administrator and this happened in my school, what do I think would have occurred as a result? I mean, I don't see a lot of lawsuits happening. We might have to have like a parent mediation or a student mediation, but as far as lawsuits are concerned, I don't see that as being an issue with the demographics of the students that I have. And if I was an administrator, what would I do to prevent something like this from happening? I think you have to train properly all of your teachers in how to deal with students, especially when removing students from the classroom. I know that if I have to remove a student from the classroom, I certainly don't touch them. I don't touch their arms. I don't touch them in any way, and I allow that to be something that the security does. Concerning professional ethics, I think it'd be ethical to train teachers not to teach or confront students like the teacher did in this one. I think that the security guards or whoever is in charge of discipline at the school should be in charge of that. Here we have another case, Flanagan versus Canton. And here's what happened in the case. There was some PE kids. They're normally supervised when they're changing. At this particular time, they were not supervised in the locker room when they're changing. The teacher was talking to another student in the gym. And while the kids were unsupervised, one student was pushed by a couple of the students and was seriously injured. In the court, the school district was found liable because the teacher should have been supervising the students. In my school, if this would have happened, I think that PE teachers probably would have been briefed on what happened, and they would have also been told to supervise in the locker room. If you're being proactive, I think what you need to do is you need to train the teachers on how to properly supervise students. I know that it's really complicated. You're supervising kids in the gym, you're supervising them in the locker room, but I think they need to be trained on how to efficiently do that. And I think it's definitely ethical to make sure that children are watched at every step of their day. Students should not go unsupervised in the school building. Our next case here is Gasper versus Lago. This case involves sexual harassment. What the kids were doing here, kids were sexting each other off of school property. So once kids were punished, and the school punished the students for doing so. But what actually happened was off school grounds and had nothing to do with school. If this happened in my school, what would occur as a result? I think, again, you need to have like some sort of training or some sort of announcement made to students about how to properly use social media, how to properly use their cell phones, how to not exchange pictures that are lewd or explicit, and let them know exactly how to behave. Proactive measures, I think what you do is you talk to everyone. I don't know if you call it an assembly, or if you send a letter home with parents. Both would be ideal, but I think that you let students know that situations like this do occur, and how to prevent them would be to just not send these pictures to each other. And I think it's ethical not to send these pictures to one another, because these pictures can be saved, they can be shared, and I think education is the most important tool here to prevent this from happening. In this case, we have TKM Caver Smith Green School Corporation. In this case, students brought an action against their school, and what they alleged was that a principal was infringing on their First Amendment rights, because they were also posting provocative pictures on social media. Again, I think what you do is you educate students and staff on exactly what's happening here and what's occurring here, and how to prevent something like this from happening would be to not send pictures like this. Being proactive, you would educate your students and staff and make sure that they're aware of what might occur if they do share pictures like this. And I definitely think it's ethical to not share pornographic pictures when we're talking about students who are under the age of 18. Our next case is DJM Verse the Hannibal School District. In this case, a student sued the school district, and he alleged that he was suspended based on threats that he made to shoot other students, and those violated his First Amendment freedom of speech rights. First of all, reacting to this, like, you cannot allow a student to make threats. That those do not violate your First Amendment rights at all. You don't have the right to threaten other students, and I think you need to make sure that everyone is aware of that. If I'm being proactive, I'm making sure that everybody knows that what speech is protected under the First Amendment, what isn't. Everyone should know that you have a right to speak your mind, but when you're making threats against people, that's not covered under free speech. And I definitely think it's ethical to make sure that kids are in a safe environment and they are free from threatening behavior and language. And here are the standards that I used. Thanks.